Ladies and gentlemen, the Bismarck has received a buff. Now, it's not what you're thinking. It's not a buff to its guns or any of its stats or anything like that. This buff is purely aesthetic. The Bismarck finally has a historical camo. Hello, I am Xarkun, and this is World of Warships Legends. In this game, on Tears of the Cruisers, we're going to play the Bismarck, and the Bismarck looks as it did in history when it was sunk. This is, finally, its historical camo, although keep in mind it is not like other historical camos for ships in this game, where you can go into the loadout menu whenever you're going to choose to put a camo on the ship. A lot of these historical camos are free camos that you create from that menu by using the paint. This is one that you actually have to buy inside of the store. I think it's under the supply tab and the sub tab of camos. It costs the low price of 750 doubloons, so it's not expensive at all. And there is a contemporary historical camo available for HMS Hood that looks quite nice as well. In fact, there are two historical camos for the Bismarck and Hood. One for each ship that shows it in the state it was in when it was sunk, and one for each ship that shows it in a really beat up, scuffed up state with the same sort of camo scheme, if that's your thing, I guess. In any case, I don't really have much more to say about this camo scheme other than initially I wasn't that much of a fan on it, but the more I look at it, the more I like it, and I am going to keep it as my permanent camo for the Bismarck. Instead, I suppose we should talk about what I'm doing in this game. Taking a shot at an Akatsuki, or Akatsuki, however you're supposed to pronounce it out there. Doesn't work out particularly well for us, but the Akatsuki, or Akatsuki, does go down. We're going to beach ourselves on one of these islands that the cruisers like to shed tears over because it's hard to hide behind, but our sister ship, the Tirpitz, comes up and gives us a helpful push to dislodge us from our predicament, which means we're going to be able to get closer to the enemies a lot faster. The other enemy destroyer is likely not on this side of the map, although I don't know. What we can see out here, though, is a Massachusetts, an Ochakov, and a Suzuya. So initially I was thinking I might want to shoot at the Ochakov, but my secondaries are beginning to open up on the Massachusetts, and I think I'm going to shoot at his guns, maybe see if we can't take one of them out before we start firing at the Ochakov. In any case, the Bismarck still is not the most accurate ship known to man, and that was kind of a long-range shot on the Ochakov. Although, he is drawing nearer now as we enter the Alpha Cap, which has already been flipped by our teammates, and start pushing these ships. This, by the way, is like the quintessential Bismarck game. The results are pretty nice when all is said and done. The Ochakov coming out right in front of us. Hopefully we're going to be able to line up some shots on him as somebody lights us on fire, and we begin to actually take damage. Before we hadn't taken any in this match, but shots out on the Ochakov, German dispersion strikes once more, and the shells get eaten up by the Ochakov and sent to the Gulag. They don't do really any damage to him at all. Massachusetts now pulling out broadside in front of us. Too bad the guns are not reloaded, because we would like to take advantage of that, but somebody does, probably the Tirpitz behind us. They do chunk the Massachusetts, and he is finished off by torpedoes sent at him by one of our teammates. The Suzuya now is chasing, or rather the Siegfried is now chasing the enemy Suzuya and the Ochakov, and I am slightly worried that they might be able to burn him down, although he does have 15-inch guns, and so he can overmatch the two of them and do a heck of a lot of damage. Although, they have much higher DPM, so who knows how that contest is going to turn out. Ochakov, though, if we look on the map, he's sailing flat broadside to us, and we're about to catch a glimpse of him from behind the island, so we aim at the waterline, hoping that this time the shells won't be sent to the Gulag, and they aren't. In fact, they almost send the Ochakov to the Gulag. We strike his citadel there, a very rare thing indeed. Unfortunately, it's not enough to take him out, but our secondaries are doing a little bit of chip damage on him as we continue kiting away from the two cruisers here. We don't want to take any torpedoes, after all, and both of these cruisers have torpedoes, so we don't want to push into them. Taking a shot at the Suzuya, and while it initially looks like it's pretty good, only one shell ends up hitting out of the 4 we sent his way. Now, though, we're going to turn around as we go unspotted behind this island, get our guns on target versus these cruisers. That gap right there that the Tirpitz is in, a little bit dangerous though. Probably not where that ship wants to be, considering the torpedo range on the Suzuya is quite long, I think at 10 kilometers, and where that Tirpitz was, well, I think he was inside of that Suzuya's torpedo range. Still trying to get shots on that Japanese cruiser though, but the Tirpitz is able to take him out. That's one really nice thing about the Suzuya, by the way, just as an aside. It can put out a metric crap ton of damage, but it is easily punished, unlike the Ochakov. And what do you know, there are the Suzuya's torpedoes. Looks like we're going to be able to avoid all of them, which is nice. And we've got a Gascon out there in front of us, and 2 other battleships to our side. One of them is a low-health Gneisenau at quite a long range, so we're going to take a long-range shot. We don't have extremely high hopes that it's going to actually hit the Gneisenau, but here we find ourselves sort of sailing into a potential crossfire with an enemy Bismarck who is not wearing the historical camo. Shame on him. An enemy Bismarck and a Tirpitz to our starboard side, and then a Gascon right in front of us. Now, the Gascon does not appear to be playing his ship as optimally as he might. For one thing, he's shooting high explosive, which honestly isn't a bad idea. He does have only 15-inch guns, and I do think they have a pretty good chance to start a fire, plus they have a fairly rapid reload time. So shooting the high explosive at battleships in the Gascon or something like the Richelieu or Jean Bart, it's not something that you should shy away from. It can be quite effective. Although, unlike the Jean Bart and Richelieu, the Gascon has its turrets situated in a different setup, with only one on the front and only one on the back. So on the bow and the stern of the ship, if you're firing from one of those angles, you can only get 4 guns on target, whereas in the Richelieu or Jean Bart, you could get all 8 of your guns on target. Now the Gascon is backing up as one of our secondaries lights a fire on him. We need to ideally take him down, although I think I'm hesitating at this point in continuing to shoot him or try to take some shots at those battleships out here. One of them, though, needs to go, whether it's the Gascon or the battleships out there behind us, because at this point, angled as we are, we're no longer in danger of being shot in the side, really. We're angled to all of the enemy ships, but if this Gascon remains floating, he is going to be in a place where if I turn too much, I'll be giving broadside to either him or to the 3 battleships behind me. That's basically what a crossfire is. But the Tirpitz and the enemy Bismarck are both pushing up, and I think at this point in the stream, I'd kind of thought the Gascon went down, but he actually hasn't. And one of the enemy Tirpitz takes out our friendly Tirpitz there as he pushes in. Our secondaries are beginning to open up on him once more. We recognize that there are no destroyers left in the match, so there's really no reason not to use the enhanced secondary consumable. And as we do that, you can see the accuracy increases like tenfold. So many shells are landing. Unfortunately, not a whole lot of fires are being lit. Bismarck coming around broadside, not good. We're going to see if we can't pump that side full of German armor piercing as the guns are reloaded. And the Tirpitz is also turning broadside, which is, again, pretty inadvisable. The Bismarck suffers the consequences of his actions by getting hit for 13k, and there we are, over 100,000 damage. It is 3 versus 3, though, and the enemy is ahead of us on points, so this game could still go either way. And there is the Gascon, shooting at my broadside. Again, I thought he was dead, but it turns out he was not. He, though, is giving me broadside, and he does not have the same sort of robust armor that the Bismarck does, so there's 14k on him. Torpedoes look like they're chasing him down, interested in jamming themselves up his prop shaft or something, I don't know. But they are going to miss as he misses us. He goes down, though, to the fire from the other friendly Bismarck. A lot of German battleships in this game, I should say. Wow. Tirpitz coming around the corner. Our enemy destroyer is still alive, and we now have the ship advantage, and it looks like we might be able to win this game if this Tirpitz is going to continue focusing on my Bismarck teammate there. He opens himself up to us. We're able to get the high caliber and Confederate medals with that salvo, and we're up to 145,000 damage done. I think this goes to show you that the Bismarck is not what it was a year or two ago. It is definitely a much more effective battleship right now, and it's fun to play. And, you know, for some of you, that fun factor may be increased by this very nice historical camo. We're able to take the Tirpitz down. That's our first kill of the game, and we only had to get 152,000 damage to reach that first kill. That just leaves the final enemy, Bismarck. So, 2 Bismarcks versus 1 Bismarck, and there's a destroyer somewhere in the mix. Don't think he's going to come into play, but the Bismarck attempts to turn out. Not a good idea. He's going to give broadside to me. He sort of gets away taking a little bit less damage than he might have otherwise taken, but then he gets promptly smacked by the other friendly Bismarck, and he's on very low health. So we're going to see if we can't take him out with this last salvo. We don't need to kill him. We would win on points, but, you know, we're going to take the shot anyway. It's not enough to take him out as he starts bow tanking us. Secondaries working overtime. We're going to use the secondary consumable again, hoping that we might be able to achieve the skill kill on this Bismarck. But even if we don't, we've now done over 175,000 damage, and the enemy is at this point a one-shot kill, so the shot is out. He doesn't get taken down by the secondaries, but he does get taken down by us. And that ends the game with our victory. Pretty dang good result in the Bismarck, if I do say so myself. And I think we might have achieved one of the hard mode missions for the Weekly Havoc. I don't know if there's one that requires over 150,000 damage, but we certainly did that. 175k, Confederate, high caliber, and 2 kills. Hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.